Hello and welcome to the Unnamed Automotive Podcast. My name is Sami Assad, and with me, as always, is my good friend and fellow automotive journalist, Benjamin Hunting. Say hi to the people, Ben.
Greetings, human listeners.
Greetings to everyone, but we also have a guest today. I'd like to introduce a friend of automotive media and the founder of DoubleClutch.ca, as well as the owner of a couple of dealerships, including Clarkson's Fine Cars. Of course, I've got the one and only Adi Desai with us. Say hi, Adi.
Howdy.
Howdy is a great way of saying hi. I love it.
He's not just a friend to automotive media. He's also a friend of ours. He's been a friend of ours for a long time, and it's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, guys. I'm really honored to be here. I've been listening to your annoying voices for a very long time. I love them very much. I'm just joking. You guys aren't annoying. You're the best.
We're not going to kick you out of the podcast if you say something disparaging about us. Don't worry. You have the whole episode. We have the whole episode for you to like be antagonistic towards us. We'll take it.
No.
I want to share a little note about Adi. Adi, I met I don't know. I think it would easily qualify as one of the most awkward meetings I've ever had with somebody.
That's saying a lot for you, Sami.
I know. It goes a long way. In which I would go to my home, my family home, and check my mail. And every time I did it, I think Adi and his colleagues at DoubleClutch would drive by, say hello. They've got a press car, and they'd say something to me. And I would always wonder, like, who are these people? And eventually we exchanged, like phone numbers. We caught up. We hung out. And I guess the friendship was kind of like established that way. This kind of like nearly... It started as a question of like, is this guy stalking me? And it turns out that one of your colleagues lived in the neighborhood, and you guys had a little like tradition, I think, that of meeting up on a certain day, and it always coincided with me being there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I actually had completely forgotten about that part of it. I always think of it as you grew up down the street from me, which you basically did.
Yeah.
But yeah, my colleague Zach used to live right across the street from your parents, I guess, where they used to be. And we used to have a tradition that whenever we had every week, a certain evening, we would meet up with all the press cars that we had. We'd get together, have kind of like an evaluations night where everyone drives everything. We gather impressions, compare notes, and get together for dinner. Of course, this worked because we were all in our early mid-20s. No one was married. No one had children. And it was like, oh yeah, you want to meet up? It's just a night out with the boys, but you're playing with cars instead of getting up to stupidity.
See, what you're describing sounds beautiful because where I live, it's absolute isolation. And the only people I share my press cars with are deer and porcupine.
Jesus Christ.
Preferably.
How do they like the car?
Well, they like avoiding them. I mean, that's and as long as we keep that part of the bargain going, I think things are fine ultimately. But yeah, that sense of community sounds pretty sweet.
So what you're saying is that Bambi approves of the 2026 Hyundai Palisade?
You know what? It's hard to know whether they approve or disapprove. They just kind of look straight through you.
That's fair.
It's so Sami touched on the fact that you've been running and managing an automotive outlet for some time. You've taken a bit of a step back from that right now because you've created a well-oiled machine that just, does journalism with very little oversight, which is, I think, the dream for most publications. And you have devoted a lot of your time to seemingly purchasing every cool car that anyone has ever wanted from the 80s or 90s and early 2000s, and then driving them for as long as you feel like it and moving on. So that's an enviable position to be in. I bring it up because the vehicles that you collect and drive are, I would say, outside the mainstream of what a lot of people would think of as collector vehicles, just in the sense that, we're so programmed by things like Barrett Jackson and Bring a Trailer to covet certain types of vehicles. And I've always admired the fact that you're doing your own thing and you are picking cars that are meaningful to you. Do you want to talk about maybe some of the vehicles that you have chosen over the years and what you have in the fleet right now?
Sure. And I appreciate that you've gone there and commented that it's different. A couple of the cars I have are kind of the mainstream, like everybody's poster car from the 80s or 90s. I've really tried to do that. I try to have a keeper fleet. There's a lot of stuff that I have that I'm never, ever, ever going to get rid of. As long as I can help it, of course. There have been a couple of, call it poster cars, that I found I didn't love as much as I thought I would, and
that's what I would love to hear about those. Can we start with those?
Yeah, 100%. I pared down my fleet this year actually, so I got rid of my '97 Ferrari 550 Maranello.
So that's mind blowing to me because to me, no.
He didn't even finish the sentence and you jumped in. Yes.
But the reason I say that is because we're talking about keeper fleets, right? And I would think that a 550 would be something that would be in the keeper fleet. So I'm curious to find out why that's not the case.
So here's the thing. I started, my first Ferrari was a gated manual 360 Modena. Okay. And then I loved it, but the 550 was always the poster car. I had 3 poster cars in my life, and that was one of them. Okay. The cover shot of Need for Speed High Stakes.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
Exactly. So, I got the 550 and I loved it. I probably put about 10,000 kilometers on it in 4 years that I had it. I love
just for people listening. That's like 75 times the mileage most people would put on any Maranello. Like,
and that's the thing. I loved it as a Grand Tourer. It didn't sound exciting enough. I put 2B exhaust on it, like every Ferrari gets at some point. The gated manual was great. I actually really liked driving the car, but it just didn't feel special.
Wow. That's wild for a V12,
that's
Italian
what I'm saying,
V12.
Right?
That car's in Bad Boys, isn't it? Bad Boys 2?
So mine was one of 2 made in the Bad Boys 2 color, which was the Grigio Silverstone, Grigio Titanio with the navy blue Scuro interior. Mm-hmm. So it was straight Bad Boys 2 spec. And I loved, and I still look at them. I'm like, God damn, that's a pretty car. But I'm never going to have one again because I've had that experience. Yeah. And then I traded it for a 599 GTB Fiorano, which I then also did a gated manual conversion of. And we were the first ones in Canada to convert one. And then I got rid of that because I said, this is too new and fast and special for me. I like my cars to be a little bit old, a little bit more characterful. And I keep going back to the fact now that if I ever get the opportunity to buy a scrappy manual 360, that's what I want. Like I've tried the 355 for a long time. One of my best friends had one and I drove it quite a bit. And it sounds like no other car out there, but it's like something about that 360. And they're also kind of attainable still.
So the 360 is, I think, the sweet spot for if you want a modernish Ferrari that doesn't have the scary maintenance that so many of the cars leading up to it did. Like the 355 is engine out for everything.
Yes.
And everything happens because I think the mileage intervals are quite modest for a lot of the things you have to do. The 360, I think they realized how many customers they were potentially losing with that type of attitude. And it's far easier to own.
Oh, 100%. Well, it's funny that the 355 I speak of that belonged to my friend, I actually got him a personalized plate for it that was engine out. And that plate was formerly mine. I had it on my V10 Touareg, both of which had their engines out.
See, this is what I mean about interesting cars. Like,
those sound like difficult cars to begin with.
Difficult.
But I've never met anyone else who's owned a V10 Touareg because I think that is like
because once they saw the repair bill on one, they decided to.
But within Canada, that's like a 2-hand count.
This is the thing. When I was in university, we had a V10 Touareg in the family, and I got to drive it around a couple of winters. It belonged to my uncle. When my uncle was away, I'd put miles on it for months at a time. And it was new then, right? Like this was an 04, 05 truck in 2007, 2008. It was new. And I said, okay, well, we know that they're, pieces of crap now to own. However, I own a shop. I have a Volkswagen and Audi master tech who can work on anything for me. I will just buy one of them. And I bought the nicest one I could find. And, I've realized that even with those means and it's not feasible financially or time-wise to keep this thing on the road because it's such a huge turd.
That's the craziest condemnation possible.
Well, it's funny. I sold it
even with the means, I can't have it. That's wild.
Well, I sold it 2 or 3 years ago on Bring a Trailer, actually. It allowed me to break even. I didn't make any money on it, but I broke even and I had it maybe 6 months.
That in itself is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. And I sold it to the nicest guy ever. He's an older guy who bought it and he's not a car guy, but he's like, I like diesels. I'm like, oh, well, you're in.
That's so crazy. So a non-car person bought the worst Touareg,
Right.
the worst, hardest to find, and also most interesting Touareg. And he's like,
bring a trailer.
I know so little about cars, but yet I am drawn to this upcoming horrible experience.
Yeah.
So
He was
funny.
a nice guy. Now I'm not sure.
He's a broken shell of a man.
Well, he probably
You should check
is.
in on him.
You know what? That's where I'm going with this. So actually, 2 or 3 years later, I left the office earlier today to come here and record, and I'm home now. But before I left, I looked out through the glass windows of the shop from the showroom. I'm like, is that my old Touareg? Yes, it is.
No.
Is the engine sitting on the ground? Yes, it is.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
I have not asked any further questions to my service team, but I went out the door and breathed the fresh air of minus 25 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
Was so happy to get into a normal car and drive home.
So
But I mean, like, wait, hold on a minute.
but
Like,
what
just
you
because
did-
it was like a nightmare maintenance thing does not take away from the ownership, like the driving and
It was
experience
so
of it,
good
right?
to drive. That car was wonderful to drive.
Didn't
I
it
will
have
say-
10,000 foot-pounds of torque?
Yeah, 5 billion actually.
10,000.
Yeah, 5 billion. That car was, I will still go to, I've driven, I mean, like I wrote about cars for 10, 12 years weekly. I was on the same press launches you guys are on. I've driven everything now. And I will say that the V10 Touareg with the air suspension is one of the best driving SUVs I've ever driven in my life. And
That was from the era when Piëch was like, or Piëch,
Yes.
I don't know how to say it. He decided to spend all the money Volkswagen had to develop whatever
That and
they
the
needed,
Phaeton.
right? Like, yeah, the Phaeton, this V10, the next generation S8 and an A8, and it was just like cost was no object. They didn't really seem to think about maintenance. It wasn't
he was a
really
very
in
silly
the conversation,
boy, wasn't he?
he
was a very silly boy.
I think doesn't his family like a major shareholder in the company too? Like some kind of like tie up where they couldn't get. He was a unique person. I don't know if it cost like $1 billion to develop the Phaeton, but I think it was something close to that.
And they sold 2 of them
Yeah.
to me.
Yes, it's fine. And you had the a W12 and
No,
8.
just I both were 8s.
Okay, just an 8 still.
Yeah,
like-
I mean, yeah. One was this is actually interesting. So again, the same uncle who bought a Touareg V10 new also bought a 4.2 Phaeton, and he wanted the W12, but at the time in 2005 or 6, Volkswagen Canada would not sell you an extended warranty on a W12 because they knew. So that was that was a hand me down as well. I used to drive it all the time when my uncle had it, and then I didn't technically own a second one. I had one too many glasses of scotch while browsing the dealer auction one night, and I bought a Phaeton like last year just to have around, and I bought it for $3,000. The thing had like 130,000 kilometers on it. It had decent service history. It had a huge $30,000 hit on it from when it was new. I'm like, okay, $3,000. How poorly could this go? So I bought it. We listed it on our website for $10,000. I started driving it daily in the winter. We all thought we were going to die with it, but for $3,000, who actually cares? The thing was in great shape.
It's worth rolling the dice.
And that's the thing. We had it listed for 10, 12, something like that. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, man walks in off the street, says, I've always wanted one of these. This one seems nice. Great. I'll give you what you're asking for, and drove it away. So apparently insane people like me do still exist. And the last I checked, that guy loves this car.
Well, wait, it's interesting because with the Touareg especially, you managed to turn a money hole into a revenue source for your dealership.
Yeah.
Like that's
exactly.
pretty impressive,
Yeah. It's one of those things. Yeah, I mean, so I guess those were the only two that I said, never meet your heroes. I guess everything else has just been like opportunistically that I've gotten rid of, but in moving house, and also like Sammy can kind of attest to this very well, that now I have a 1-year-old at home, and I just don't have the time to screw around with cars as much as I used to. So I had a Lexus LC500 that was my daily, and I came to the conclusion that now with daycare runs and stuff like that, a 2-door rear-wheel drive V8 daily just doesn't make sense. I need a normal 4-door whatever.
I think it makes so much sense though. Like that's just as a childless human being,
Well,
or child-free, depending on which term you prefer. I have a cat in my lap right now. I think that just the LC is the ultimate all-around vehicle. Whether
I loved
you're
it.
Camping or taking the kids somewhere.
Yep. I rooftop tented with it all the time. I loved picking people up at the airport that had luggage.
Did they ever make a luggage set for the LC500 that fit into the trunkish area?
They did not.
That's one of my favorite. And when a car company admits that like it doesn't fit into the real world, like it's you have to adopt a new lifestyle to use their car, and part of that new lifestyle is like L-shaped luggage that fits around a subwoofer. You know,
that was common for the Italians, and I think the British, the McLarens are coming with luggage sets now too, like 720Ss and stuff.
For the Miata, they just put a luggage rack on the back and said, your luggage gets wet, deal with it. You know?
Yeah. Actually, I forgot about that. You know what? I saw an S2000 recently with that metal luggage rack on the trunk.
Really?
I thought that was really weird. Yeah. It was definitely, like, I didn't even double check. It had to be an older person that owned it.
Do you think that's factory, or do you think they just went onto the JC Whitney catalog and like grabbed it?
Oh, they definitely just drilled it on. They actually probably took it off their MGB.
Oh man, that's so true. The thing that gets me about the weirdest S2000 mods that I see these days are the hardtops that don't quite fit.
Yep.
Like the ones that are tapered and don't at all match the body lines when they get to the rear quarter. That's the funniest thing.
Have you seen how much factory hardtops for those things are now? They're like $7,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, even the Miata ones are expensive now.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts. I remember like back in the day, quote unquote, so like the 2000s, you could get, so any Miata hardtop fits any Miata generation from like 1990 to I think 2007 or something like that. And you could get them for $500 all day long, and that's what they were, and you couldn't negotiate, and that's just what it is. But I think they're now 2 to 3 times that price.
They are now. They are that now.
Yeah, and if you could find them too, because like a lot of them got cracked over the years. They weren't necessarily well built. If you taking them on and off all the time, you get cracks near the pillars in the back. So the other funny thing about those hardtops for Miatas is people who think that like they need them to go on the racetrack and that it provides some type of protection.
Oh no.
It's literally like the papier-mâché of hardtops. Yeah. And it's not going to, if you roll, it's going to be bad.
You're dead. Yeah, you're screwed anyway. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, you need a roll bar and a cage, and then you're fine. I mean, that's just how it should be. But don't rely on like an aged hardtop of any type. That anything you can take off your car. Like you wouldn't flip a Wrangler over and expect the hardtop to do anything for you.
No.
Why do that with the Miata? But are there any of the cars that you've let go that you regret?
No,
aside from the Maranello, maybe.
Yeah, and that's like a semi-regret. But no, honestly, I'm pretty content with what I have. I think everything I have is going to be sticking around a long time. Nothing's really, on the chopping block, even in my head or my heart. I've actually recently gotten rid of my my modern daily driver, and I'm just going to. I've got a couple of practical-ish toys that I can drive in the summer if it's raining and I don't want to expose my more special toys to rain. And like I've got my dailies, I guess, are just going to be I've got a 99 Mercedes S500, which is the last of the W140 generation. Yeah. The big boxy, big, huge land yachts.
They're like bank vault styling.
Yeah, exactly. The bank vaults. It's got the ballistics protection level 1 package.
So it's funny that you mention that because when I think of those cars, I think of Hong Kong action movies.
Yeah, exactly.
And how it was always like the baddest dudes who were driving them in some type of convoy. So and what does the ballistics package give you?
It gives you some sort of bulletproofness for some sort of weaponry. I don't freaking know, man. Dude, I live in Mississauga, Ontario. No one's shooting me up. I just think it's cool.
We're not sure about that yet.
Valid. Yeah. Okay. Fair. Valid. But I don't know. It's something. It's like the most basic level. So like you could get up to like level 3 or 4, and those were like the fully armored cars.
How many 1,000 pounds does it add to the vehicle?
Many. The windows and doors are ridiculously heavy to a point where the soft close function only works sometimes, not because it's broken, but because the doors are so heavy. And so I really like that. That's kind of like my rainy day kind of, if I have to take my little one out, the car seat fits perfectly in it.
It's your cartel vehicle.
It's my cartel vehicle.
How did you find it?
I actually, it was a service client at one of our dealerships, and he had it for a while, and I just kept saying, sell me your car, sell me your car, sell me your car. No. And then finally he had his eyes on a 911 that we had, and I said, you know what the condition is, bud? And okay. I may have paid a little too much for it, but I really wanted it. It's black on black, has the big wide staggered AMG monoblock wheels.
See, he wanted to sell to you, but they kept just pulling him back in for one last job. So like he had to keep.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Now the heat's off.
Yeah, and I recently picked up actually another nostalgia car for me. Sammy grew up in the same area as me, so he can appreciate. As a brown guy growing up in Mississauga, Ontario, I have always pined for a Infiniti G35 coupe.
Who hasn't?
The 6-speed. Well, that's the thing. I had a really clapped one when I was younger.
And also, who hasn't?
Well, there are only two types of G coupe.
No, there's just one type. They're all clapped except this one. This was the one that I found, and it was like it's got 60,000 kilometers on it.
Wow.
I've got every service record from the local Infiniti dealer. I've got the original bill of sale when Buddy paid like 65 grand for it. Original sales brochure, like everything with it. And the thing is like immaculate. So I had to have it.
So you and I have talked about this car. I've seen some photos of it, and I have long been a fan of the styling of this vehicle and just the entire concept. I mean, it's just so nice that a car company had a sports car and decided to make a luxury version of that sports car, and it didn't suck. And they didn't like super dilute it. You know, the closest thing I can think of from that era is the XLR from Cadillac. Which was like, I
forgot about the XLR.
Yeah, it's like a rebodied Corvette. And I think the G does it better, but these are really rare examples of like actually following through on that promise. Because
I have one. The Honda Civic Si, and then the Acura Canadian only CSX Type S.
Oh, not
there
this.
There you go. Yeah, the CSX is honestly, lit so many fires in the hearts of so many budget conscious street racers.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them. But I can't say I've driven one for an extended period, but I kind of like. But yeah, no, you make a valid point that I would have done a 350Z too if I found one that clean. But I'm glad I found the G because I can again put the car seat in the back and just kind of enjoy it. It's a great little commuter, and yeah, it's stock. So yeah, I mean, I've kind of gone away from having a normal daily, and now I daily this crap that's old.
It's just so much more interesting. It's like. We had a question on the podcast last week talking about like this era of vehicle, like mid 2000s. And they had just picked up a Volvo from that era. And they were shocked by how much more pleasant it was to drive than their spouse's modernish Mazda. Yep. And it kind of feels like that's one of the last eras for getting an affordable car that had good driving feel, but didn't sacrifice safety and convenience and modernity. Like you can still find good driving cars past that point, but you start to get into more enthusiast territory. Mm-hmm. But like back in like 2004, 2005, a lot of cars were still interesting enough to drive regardless of their price point because they hadn't been weighed down by weight, obviously, but also, technology features that were pulling more of the drive away from the pilot.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, you're a Nissan man. I'd even go back and say that was not only peak era of normal cars that were good to drive, but peak era for that brand. Like the manual Maximas were fun and they were fast with the 3.5. Yeah. Like even like a V6 Ultima, like 02 to 06. Look, I know that the Ultima is kind of the laughing stock of a stereotype now of, the driver who's just foot to the floor everywhere. But I want to say that like, if you go back 15 years, those Ultimas were handsome cars. And they
I agree.
Well.
I agree. And the idea that you would have like essentially Mazda's full size car with a manual transmission is just such a foreign concept today.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It was one of those things. Yeah. I mean, yeah, so I buy nostalgic crap. That's what I do.
That's the if you're lucky,
best way to do it. If you can do it, do it.
Yeah, right? If you're lucky in life, you get to the point where you're able to make these decisions of what you want to drive based not necessarily on need, but on preference and opportunity. And I think you have such a great advantage with the dealerships is that you see so many things come in, and you have the opportunity to pick up stuff that. It doesn't make it to the market. You're not going to see it on Facebook Marketplace. No. You're not going to see it on Kijiji. It's stuff that people might not have been thinking about selling, or maybe they want to trade it in, which is an entirely different customer, right? Yeah. So like it's a fantastic opportunity to see cars that are well kept and the person is just ready to move on, and that's something Sammy and I don't get to do that. We have to fight with everyone else on Marketplace for cars that, probably are super rusted and
Yeah, no, fair. I mean, I guess that's one of the fun positions of where I am, that I do have the opportunity to do that.
And in a world where Bring a Trailer has jacked the price up on so many vehicles just because people don't understand necessarily that their version of X isn't the same as the one that's sold for Y online.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having that dealership outlet is an even further way to like get away from that part of the market.
Well, it's fine because we get a lot of people that are coming in to trade in or just straight sell their vehicles. Well, I've seen on BAT that it goes for, it's like, okay, well, first of all, you're not in the US, so take off 30% right there.
Oh, man.
You're not getting tariffs, so take off another 20% right there. Also, if you want to list it privately on BAT, feel free to go get it. But if
that's always an option, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you can just go do this yourself and it will be fine. But if you're walking into a dealership and expecting, like, it's a place of business, right? Like, we have to leave gravy on the table. However, like, if it's a called $150,000 car, we're not getting out of bed for less than 15 or 20 grand. And if it's call it a $20,000 car, we shouldn't be getting out of bed for less than 2 or 3 grand. Like, the gravy kind of varies for depending on the price, but ultimately you're right. The Bring a Trailer thing has put that perception on people that, I should be able to get that, or this should be worth that. And on one hand, it's great. On the other hand, it can be tough.
Yeah, it's great if you own one of those cars, right? But like the way I think about it is, when I was in my 20s, it was when the muscle car market totally exploded, and you saw all of the auctions going on, Barrett Jackson, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden you had cars that could have been purchased for $20,000 or $30,000 in their best possible condition going for 5 times that. And it got wild and out of control. And in some ways it still is. But when I look at BAT and what it's done is it's shifted the window of cars that were affected by that by a significant margin, and now stuff from the 80s and 90s has been hit with the same tax. And of course there's other factors like, Fast and Furious, it had a huge effect on a lot of sport compact cars. But and the fact that people like us who are aging into a part of our lives where maybe we have more disposable income and we're able to buy cars that we wanted when we were younger, which is what the boomers were doing with the muscle cars, that's playing into it too. But I really do think that online auction portals have just obliterated the idea of affordable nostalgic classics for at least several decades. And I'm worried that the early 2000s are next up on the list. Like, I think about cars like the Bug-Eye WRX, which is thin on the ground in Canada because of rust, but it's never been super desirable because there was no STI version in North America. They were, some people thought the looks were awkward, but I think right now we're right on the cusp of those cars falling out of affordability, and that's sad to me. I mean, even NA Miatas are starting to be, they were a car you could buy for $5,000 pretty much all the time. And now the NBs are cheaper because they're they have a little bit less desirability, but for how much longer?
Well, it's the thing with NBs, or like, I guess with Miatas, NAs, people are only buying now for sheer nostalgia. They drive really well for what they are, but objectively, when cars like, you can get, Sammy, do you still have your FRS?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, cars like the FRS came out. It's a lightweight, rear-wheel drive, manual trans sports car, right?
With all of the doodads.
With all the doodads, and you can get I think you can still get a shitty one for 10 grand.
Oh yeah, Facebook and Trader, they're full of and I look at mine and I'm like, well, it's worthless, so I guess I'm keeping it forever.
But yours is nice, right? Like, yours is nice. You've loved it. Like, you keep it. But I think it's one of those things that's like, people are only like, the NBs are the crappy Miatas because nobody cares for them anymore. Because they were kind of disposable. They rusted out where we live. NAs are pure nostalgia, so they've held their value.
They have the pop-ups,
Yeah, and it's true. I mean,
and NCs are pretty cheap as well, which is kind of crazy. I was thinking the ND has been on the market for like 10 years now.
Yeah, 10 model years. It came out in 16.
That's crazy.
I should go see what like the early ones are going for. I'm curious.
They're pretty affordable.
The ND we're talking here?
The ND, yeah. I'm not a huge
an ND one which had like some reliability transmission issues. I remember Stefan, one of our listeners and friends of the show, Stefan, has told me so many times that like he's
like 3 transmissions, but also it had the less interesting motor. I really do think the ND2 motor was a big step up in terms of just engaging the driver.
Yep.
But the NC is such a cool vehicle that I think it's totally overlooked now, because you have like the bookends.
Forgotten.
Yeah, you have the bookends of the NA and the ND, which are both quite desirable from a driving perspective and a nostalgia perspective for one of them. The NB, which was larger inside a little bit, more comfortable and kind of forgotten. But the NC is the car that no one talks about at all.
No, you're absolutely right.
And you can get the PRHT with that. A lot of people like that. I'm not a big fan, but I do like that better than the power retractable hardtop on the ND, which I think is
really
kind of yeah. I don't like because with the NC, if you put the hardtop down, it's a convertible. But in the ND, you still have those buttresses that give you crazy blind spots. And if I'm in a convertible, I don't want blind spots. Like, that's a reminder that something is wrong to me.
Yeah.
So
no, and that's totally fair. I've always kind of liked Targa tops. I've never owned a car with it, but I do really like Targa tops and how the RF was designed. I haven't spent enough time with one to kind of have a strong opinion on the blind spots, but I like the design. I think it's different. But if I were buying, I'm buying a soft top for sure.
My favorite modern Targa, I think, is the Alfa Romeo 4C. But that's a car that you just can't find. Like, they didn't sell any of them, and no one wants to sell the ones they have. So
those also suck a little for reliability.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
every Alpha does. But
I mean, I remember picking up the press loaner, and it had like a USB cable hanging out from underneath the dash on the passenger side, and I'm like, this really sets the tone.
An aftermarket radio.
Yes.
Like, it just had like this whatever Alpine or whatever brand it was. It was just sitting in the middle of the dash,
and the trunk was just a lunchbox.
Yeah. Yeah. I like, you know what though, that had character.
I loved it. I love driving it. It's so flawed, and all of those flaws make it so desirable to me.
Well, what buyer of a modern car with no power steering wants an automatic transmission?
It's not even an automatic transmission.
No,
it's a fake automatic transmission. Yeah. It has no park. It just has neutral. I mean, even that is weird. Like, again, who is that customer?
The three people in Canada who bought one are very upset with what we're saying right now.
I make no mistake. I love this car.
Me too.
It's so much fun. It makes the right sounds. It looks amazing. No one knows what it is, and you will never see another one when you're out driving, which to me is important because I'm weird like that. Like, I like to drive something that I don't see coming and going.
I think because so I own one Italian car right now. And
yes, and I want to hear about that car. I'm glad you brought it up.
Dear. I was gonna say before we get there is that like Italian cars we already know inherently flawed in just about every way, and parts availability is shoddy at best. So why would somebody want a modern, like even a modern Giulia or Stelvio? The same thing applies. They're still tough to get parts for. If you find the parts, they're expensive. Every single time I've walked into the dealer to have a conversation with someone in the service or the parts department from the internal dealer side, they're dead. There's nobody outside getting their car serviced. It's ridiculous. And there's always a lineup of cars outside waiting for parts.
I think what appeals to me about the Stelvio is the rigid, non-reclinable driver's seat. That's something that I think a lot of people are looking for in an SUV.
Exactly. In a normal SUV that's just supposed to compete with like an X3.
I think the reason people buy the Giulia, though, is because it is very pretty.
It is very pretty.
That forgives a lot. I mean, it's pretty on the outside. On the inside, it's like, this screen is, yeah. It's
our really good friend and industry colleague Thomas Holland of the Throttle House. He recently picked up a Giulia quad, and we service all his stuff. So, and he's also a very old friend of mine. We PPI'd his Giulia, serviced it. And it's a cool car, right? Like, it passes PPI with no problem. He bought it from a reputable dealership. It's fine. But there is a driveline vibration that is unsolvable. He thought it was tires. He changed the tires. No. We thought it was like something suspension with every single component on the suspension is fine. Like, it's just apparently north of 140 kilometers an hour, allegedly, that there's just this vibration that can't, and apparently that's normal.
So whenever I hear stories like that, my first thought is there's a crack in the unibody.
Yeah, I thought of that. I've thought of that. It's like, what if this thing just hit a bump so hard at some point in its life that it's just bent?
Yeah, and there's the only way to find it would be to invest way too much money
Exactly
in disassembling like everything. I saw a video recently, not recently, maybe a few months ago, and this is why it's top of mind, is someone had I want to say it was an S65, and they had a driveline vibration, and it turned out to be a crack in the tub, and they only found it when they removed everything, all suspension and driveline components from the rear of the vehicle. And they had to, the vehicle was totaled. Like there's nothing you can do at that point with that crack. And it's like, damn, like.
So no one should drive Italian cars is the gist of this, right?
Well, not above 140, I guess, if you don't want to think about your mortality.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's
get into this car.
Let's get into this last car.
My Italian. Okay, so I this was my ultimate poster car. So I had 3 poster cars. Maranello was one. It was Never Meet Your Heroes. The first, I'll just be quick about it, was an air-cooled 911. I've always wanted one. Again, the cover of Need for Speed High Stakes. Yeah. Mine's a 964 991. I love it. That was kind of like before the values went up like crazy. That was the attainable one. Then this one is and I've got a 91 Lamborghini Diablo, and that's the original owner of that car was Mario Andretti, who is a man of some fame with driving fast.
This is a wild story. You're just like casually like, so you might have heard of this guy.
You might have heard of this dude. His name is Mario. His brother's name is Luigi. And he used to own my red lawn ornament. But it's kind of cool because the cars, there's a couple of stories online. There's a couple of Instagram reels of this car being airlifted and like being lifted off a bunch of skids at LAX, and Andretti's waiting there to get delivery. It was the first one delivered in North America.
It's like the beginning of Rain Man.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's standing there, and then fast forward like 8 or 9 years, and there's a video of a cop running up the side of the road. I feel like it's got to have been staged, but apparently it wasn't. And the cop goes running up because his Diablo has been flying whatever crazy speed it was going at. Cop runs up. He's got a jacket cam and says, "Who do you think you are, Mario Andretti?" And he just hands over his license. Like, "I'm sorry, sir." And it was in fact Mario Andretti. But yeah, I bought this car. I got it at a bit of a little bit below market because it needed motor work. And when I say it needed motor work, it needed the entire, like the engine out, the full major. It needed like everything, like head gaskets, a bunch of stuff. It was in restoration for 2.5 years. I just got it back before Christmas. And sorry, I don't know why my watch is speaking to me. But I got it back just before Christmas. I had it detailed, and I'm now just waiting for the spring. I got a dry day to just take it up the road and back. I drove it about 10 minutes.
Nice.
And I, had tears in my eyes. It's like, you know what? I'm finally behind the wheel of my dream car, and I get to enjoy it with my son because there's no airbag, and legally I can put his forward-facing car seat in the passenger seat. I haven't tried yet. Like, look, this might be a non-starter with my better half, but
that wouldn't fly in my household.
and you know what? It might not. I might be being aspirational.
Even with my best arguments.
I mean, I don't know.
But good luck. You tell me if it works out. And I'll talk to my wife
is this
about
a keep
it
forever? Is this a keep forever car,
so.
or are we going to hear a sad Maranello-like story in a few years?
Well, here's the thing. I drove the car, and everyone says these things are junk to drive, right? Like Countachs and Diablos, everyone's like, they're horrendous to drive. So my feet don't fit, and I don't have particularly large feet.
It has a very small pedal box, right? And it's angled.
The thing. It is angled. So here's the thing. I wear a size 10-ish shoe. My right foot, I cannot have a shoe on because there's not enough space between the gas and the brake. So I basically get in the car, I take off my right shoe. The left shoe needs to stay on because the clutch is so heavy that I need almost like the added weighting of my shoe and my boot.
He's just wearing a boot and one boot and barefoot.
Clutch boot.
So this is only because I try to drive this thing in December, right? Like,
yes.
I assume that if I get like a narrow set of like driving Pumas or something, for
just
like
don't wear
Crocs. That's the thing. Oh, but I like wearing Crocs. I used to turn up to car shows and like whatever I was driving, wearing like flip flops, shorts, and a Blip Shift T-shirt themed with some awkward car cartoon on it.
Of course.
Do you think Mario Andretti has tiny little feet?
Do I think he has tiny little feet? I mean, maybe.
I'm leaning towards that. Like, because
Yeah.
if he was driving that car for that long, I don't know if Mario is like a one shoe kind of guy. That's I think he might have drawn the line. And plus he was always in open wheel cars, which had the tiniest pedal boxes imaginable, right?
That's
so like,
true. And he did well with those. So he's probably fine. And he had a Countach before, and I think he had a 6-liter Diablo after this one. So he's used to cars that are tougher. But if you get around the awkwardness of the pedal box and you realize that there's no rear visibility.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, you did a periscopo for that?
Zero, yeah, the zero. But here's the thing: if you're going forward and shooting flames behind you, you don't need to look behind you. Just go forward.
That's what Jackie Chan always used to say: forget the past, don't look back.
Exactly. So, but like, I stepped on it. I took it up to 6,000 RPM, and I just hammered through gears. And I was like, you know what? This thing is actually sick. And it kind of has to be. It was the car back in 1991. Like, who's saying that they're terrible to drive? Like, they're cool. They're
just trying to drive the values down so they can get them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's during the Chrysler.
Admirable. I would do it too.
But that's during Chrysler's ownership of Lamborghini, right? And Chrysler was spending all the money in the world at that point. Like, they didn't really seem to have any limits, so they would just engineer whatever they wanted to engineer.
Yeah, because they made all their money off the K car and the Caravan. So
exactly, they were flush. They were flush with all that Econobox cash. Yeah. So that's like right around like Lamborghini. That's just before they sold it to Megatech, which is a company that sounds like a James Bond villain, but is actually real and was owned by like the Suharto dictatorship in Indonesia. They ended up buying Lamborghini, but they that was before that, and they made the Viper, they made the new Ram, they made the Grand Cherokee. It was like
the Prowler.
Yeah, they're spending all the cash they had, and the world is better for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Sami, I think we're going to segue from there to talk about a car that you and I have driven. Separately, but the same over the course of the past week. And Adi might be able to chime in a little bit on this too, because he has some corporate links to this particular automaker. But that is the 2026 Hyundai Palisade.
That's right. I mean, I drove the hybrid version while you drove the non-hybrid version of it, right?
Not only did I drive the non-hybrid version, I drove the Quienes Mas Macho XRT off-road version of it. XRT Pro, I believe, is what it's called.
As opposed to the amateur model.
Yeah, XRT Amateur is donation only.
Did not make the cut, yes. No. I think this is an important car to talk about because the Palisade was like a revelation, I think, when it came. A lot of people really fell for it. And I mean, I know the automotive media fell for it. It won several awards. It won a bajillion comparisons. It was seen as sort of the new standard in 3-row crossovers in terms of space. And it also upped the, what's it called? The kind of premium feel that Hyundai is capable of doing. They kind of set a new benchmark for themselves as to how nice their cars can be.
Yeah, they didn't really have anything like this before.
They tried in the past with like the Veracruz, I think.
But the Veracruz always
Veracruz was never intended to be premium. Sorry,
and it really came across as like an almost what's the show? An almost Traverse, like not
No, you're right.
Not quite there.
And when the Palisade came, it kind of, I think it challenged everyone's conceptions of what Hyundai, and like I said, it set a new standard for the brand. Now, I think you can go back to previous episodes, and I would always say that I had one major complaint with it, and that was that I didn't love the powertrain in all of the Palisades or Tellurides as well.
The V6.
I found the V6 to be just okay when the rest of the car was actually quite a notch above than usual. And I think with the introduction of a hybrid powertrain, which is a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder and a hybrid powertrain, I think that they've tried to address that. And I'm still not sold as to whether or not this is a major improvement in any significant way. But it's a change, that's for sure.
Sami, I was going to ask about this. There's the gasoline and the hybrid. I should know this, but I don't, and I'm embarrassed. But is the hybrid faster than the gas?
In terms of, I don't know about specifically like 0 to 60 or anything like that, but it does have more horsepower. It has 329 horsepower and 339 pound-feet of torque, which is, I think the old motor did not crack the 300.
No, it didn't. I think it was like 280 or 290 from that naturally aspirated 6.
Yeah, so it's an improvement. But of course, the added weight from a hybrid powertrain. One of the interesting things as well is it uses a 6-speed automatic, as opposed to, I think, an 8-speed in the gas model.
Yeah, it's an 8-speed. It's a 287 horsepower and 260 pound-feet for the current gen.
Yeah, and it's okay. I mean, it's rated. It's rated pretty generously, I think. Let me double check the fuel figures here in terms of what it's capable of.
The V6 does 18 and 24,
and the six. Sorry, and the what am I talking about? The hybrid, of course, gets 29 miles per gallon combined.
So I mean that's not a considerable difference.
I didn't get that
because it was super cold, right?
It was super cold and it was really snowy as well. And all of the routes I was on, basically all 4 wheels were going for it as much as they could because
where were you going, Sammy? Where were we going in that car?
I had to do a video shoot for driving.ca. I didn't get to throw any of our plugs in earlier. We just gave all Adi double clutch plugs all day long.
That's fine.
I'm sorry about that, man.
It's okay. I'm just kidding. But I was doing a video shoot for that, and we usually shoot in fairly rural areas because
all of your priors, right? Like it's hard for you to be in an urban situation.
Yeah, I can't be seen, especially with my posters up everywhere.
You can't be within 200 meters of a Hyundai dealership.
Jesus.
It's also worth pointing out that the model I had was the range-topping calligraphy model, which I suppose is akin to like an autograph or an autobiography version.
Some type of fancy writing.
Yeah. So,
I'm surprised it's not like a hieroglyph model out there. Someone's going to come up with that.
It's coming. I'm sure it's coming.
That's the next generation.
I still like this car. I still think that it is like a good benchmark in the class. I think there are some other vehicles that have joined the fray in terms of its size and capabilities. I think the new Traverse is quite good. And the Buick version of it, I think it's called the Enclave. There's also the Grand Highlander from Toyota that is equally like large and also comes with a hybrid powertrain, but kind of expensive. I will say that one of the things that caught me off guard with the Palisade is that it comes with a bunch of really weird, quirky, and unique features. For example, mine has a UV disinfectant in the armrest.
Okay.
Oh, the new Santa Fe has that too.
So
yes.
I don't like a feature that suggests my lifestyle is unhealthy. And
okay.
what am I, how big is this thing? Like, what can I put in there?
It's an armrest. It's literally the armrest.
The armrest itself.
Inside the armrest.
Well,
yeah.
These are two very different things. Like
one
cooks
the armrest.
my arm while I'm driving, and the other one,
the armrest storage area.
Okay, so you're supposed to
pop it open. You put your phone in or whatever you got, and you press the button.
When I was in
Korea,
this might be a Korean thing because when I was in Korea 2 weeks ago, one of my hotel rooms had a UV like vault on the table that I could use to sanitize whatever I could fit in the vaults.
And you wouldn't do that because you don't know what the other users put in that space.
When I opened it, it had like everything you would put in your mouth was already there, like glasses and tumblers and stuff. I guess it was to prove to me that they had cleaned the room, which I guess I appreciate. But at the
always need proof.
At the same time, this is a level of cleanliness that suggests it's necessary. It suggests there's a problem in the hotel, and this is their best way of dealing with it. And I don't like that.
Gentlemen, I've had an idea. I've had a revelation. This UV thing. Sammy, you have a child approximately the same age as mine. Have you started the toilet train yet?
We've gotten started on it. It's not going very well.
Well, yeah, no, same here. I mean, there's good days and there's bad days, but
they're really bad days.
So those mini plastic toilet seats that you kind of put on top of the toilet?
Does that fit in there?
That's what I'm saying, dog.
So.
Like think about all the stuff Sammy and I need to wash on a daily basis. If I could just take that thing, take it outside to my Palisade and put it in the console and leave it there. Do you think it would sufficiently clean it so that my wife would also be satisfied?
And I also would not tell the PR. I would definitely tell the PR people that I put my child's toilet.
No.
There's also a difference between sanitized
this
and
car's
clean.
Owned. I'm not doing. I wouldn't do it in a press car. I'm saying if you own this vehicle, would you do it?
No, I would wash it. I would wash
Yeah,
it.
you gotta-
with my
Okay,
hand.
fair.
You
Like
gotta
something,
wash it.
something might be sanitary, but it's not necessarily clean. You know what I
That's
mean?
valid.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's one of the gimmicks that I found on this vehicle. There are other ones.
what if you
including-
wait?
Yes.
What if you put food in there? What happens?
What do you do? You think it'll take away the taste?
I'm not a scientist, Sammy.
What
That's
if you
why
put
I'm
your
asking the
grapes in
question.
there so you don't have to wash them?
Oh my god,
Who has time to wash grapes?
that's true. I'm on the go.
I just peel my grapes so I don't have to wash them. It's,
Oh,
it's
Ooh,
goodness.
that makes sense.
It's easier on my teeth too. My old
Is that
teeth.
what you tell me? You're like at 9 in the morning, I'm gonna have my grapes, and then
My-
like at noon, you're like, I finished peeling
Finish
them.
my
I'm gonna
grapes.
have them.
My old wooden teeth can't have it any other way. So
And then the other weird feature, I don't know about weird, but this is something that's been going on. You've heard about this. It's called a dash cam.
what? Yes.
You've heard about dash cams. Do you have a dash cam?
Personally?
Yes.
No, because I change vehicles every week and it would be impractical in the extremes. Adi, do you have one?
Yep, I've got one and everything. Learned the hard way after my
Okay.
wife got hit, and now I've I have them in all of them. I kind of look after my family's, my parents' fleet, my in-laws' fleet. I like to make sure everyone's got a dash cam, and even if you're driving press cars, like when I used to do that, I had one that just suctioned to the windshield and went into like the cigarette lighter port.
Now, the problem with me is I leave things behind.
Oh, fair.
So I'm worried I would lose it. But
Yeah.
does your protection model Mercedes have like 17 dash cams? And are they like 90s era large scale?
Yeah, they're VHS
Physical
recorders.
medium.
They're like-
You can hear them running.
They're actually Sony handy cams, just duct taped to the glass.
And if you play the videos, it's just hostage videos. And you're like, how did these get in here? I have no
Oh no.
idea.
Oh, I'd have to come to
So
yours. Let's
anyways,
use your VCR. Sorry, carry on.
The Palisade actually comes with an embedded dash cam, as
Okay.
well as some like automatic recording features. So like when
So it's like a Corvette or any V series or like a Camaro. They all have this feature now.
yes, but the way now I'm not sure how the Corvette or the GM model is, but I found when I looked into this, basically anytime the parking sensors were at like red in terms of like how close you get to something, or whenever the forward collision warning goes off, it's been recording or is recording that moment. And I had a whole bunch of other people's recordings in the car, and I was like,
You can view them inside the car.
Yes, this seems like a problem.
This is a big Tesla feature
security-wise.
too. This is like Tesla has their whole Sentry system, right? For the
Yeah.
Model 3 vehicles like that. Can you follow up question? How hard is it to take that camera out and sanitize it in the center console when you
Impossible.
Ooh,
I think it's
yeah.
very much a service thing that you have to go to the dealership, schedule
I'm
it.
not impressed with
It's
that.
probably a 12-hour job.
I don't want a dirty camera. I'm just
But I thought that was really interesting because I know a lot of people have dash cams, are interested in dash cams, and every car comes with cameras now.
Addie's got me thinking I need one.
Just stick a storage medium to those dash cams and figure out a way to get them into the driver without needing to buy a third-party item that hangs somewhere or needs to be plugged in somewhere.
You don't hang it from your mirror like a giant cross or a CD. Like you don't.
I mean, I would. Basically, you know how my due diligence on these things. Yeah, it's good
your
enough.
your big Hamilton flag that you've got like hanging from that.
So,
dear.
I mean, I really found the Palisade to be really good. It was smooth riding. This calligraphy model had a bunch of really neat features. Kind of gimmicky, yes, but if you're going to be spending what is about 60 grand for them in the US, and in Canada it's closer to 70. I think, you've got to have something to show for it. The new design is definitely striking. It gets people
That's what I wanted to ask you. What do you both inside and out? I need your opinion and yours too, Adi, on if you're comfortable on the new look of the Palisade.
I think especially the exterior makes the outgoing model look ancient. It looks so good. And I can't believe anybody thought the old one looked good after seeing what the new one looks like. It's very much a ripoff of a Range Rover, though.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's funny that full disclosure, I own a Hyundai store.
Stop selling me on one.
Well, no, look, like
I don't need a venue.
when the first gen came out in 2020 model year, I guess 2019, whatever that was, I thought that I preferred the look of the Telluride.
Me too.
Of the Kia Telluride. I thought that looked better, like blockier.
I was the
kinda
opposite, but I realize I'm in the minority.
No, I don't think you are, because I've had this
either.
conversation with a lot of, I think it went 50-50, man. Like some people preferred the kind of swooped styling of the Palisade. I think that the first gen Telluride is aging better than the first gen Palisade.
I agree.
I think Sammy's absolutely right that the styling of the new one, I like it today. I feel like the blocky styling, the retro kind of lighting, I think all that, it sits well with me, but I also really like retro stuff. Like I love the way the Ioniq 5 looks.
Yeah.
I don't love the Ioniq 6's looks.
I love both of them. I really like the
ways.
6 because of how unusual it is.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. And that's fine, right? Like in a world where everything looks kind of the same,
that's
both
my
look
thinking.
different, and I'll give it that.
That's Hyundai's deal, though. They want every car to look like different, like totally unique, which I think is cool.
I think the new Palisade will age well, just looking at how the Telluride looks 6-7 years on. I don't think the new Santa Fe will age well because I feel like the rear end has some like awkward angles, the taillights being right at the bottom. And we had one, like my wife had one as a demo for 6-7 months. So I got really intimate with what it looked like in my garage every day. Mm-hmm. I think you're onto something. The new Palisade styling blows the old one out of the water. I haven't actually driven one yet. I know that the Double Clutch guys had a press car around. I didn't get a chance to take it for a spin, or I've just been busy. But I hope it does well. Just clarifying, they haven't released the second gen Telluride yet, have they?
They have. Okay. It has a weird blacked out grill that embeds the look. Like, it's very strange looking.
Oh, so I just Googled it. Okay, it is strange. I think I
prefer the first gen.
Me too.
Telluride, and then the second gen Palisade.
So
no, I completely agree.
I'm on the fence about the Palisade, the new one, because I think in photos it photographs very well. In person, it has some weird angles, and it might be because of the XRT model that I had, which is it's got like an inch more ground clearance. It's supposed to have off-road tires, which I didn't have because I had winter tires. But when it was sitting in my driveway and when it was like stuffed up against a snowbank and in a more enclosed space than when it's out on the road, the front end just was kind of weirding me out.
No, it looks frumpy. I'm looking at the XRT Pro right now. I just Googled it. Yeah. I don't like the way that looks at all. I think the calligraphy looks very nice. I don't like the way the XRT Pro looks. I'm just being honest.
It's very black up front, which I think removes a lot of detail. And you end up with this kind of monolithic razor-like front grille.
Kind of like an F-150, actually.
You're not wrong. And I don't know how well that meshes with the rest of the vehicle styling. Yeah. So there were times where I would come out from wherever I was parked and I would look at it and be like, oh, this looks really good. And then every time I was at home and I was looking at it from my house, I would be like, this is just, it's big and kind of awkward. And so follow-up question, Sammy. I found the inside to be underwhelming in the sense that it's totally fine. But in the past, I was much more impressed with how the Palisade looked inside. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, this doesn't feel special. It feels like I have nothing to object to about it. But when I'm inside of it, I no longer get the feeling that I'm getting a premium experience for a regular price.
Interesting. So the outgoing model, I remember having a lot of small details that made it feel special. Like just the switchgear in particular felt different.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that maybe some of those details, either we've become accustomed to them or they're actually missing.
That could be very well be it.
No, that'd be really unfortunate because I'm so sorry, Sammy. Please go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, I think you're right that the first gen of both the Palisade and the Telluride had these kind of quirks and little nitpick items that I really liked. Even if you look at I promise I'm putting my journalist hat on for a second and taking all biases out of the equation, former journalist. But I think that I've recently I've spent a lot of time in first gen Palisades and Tellurides. Actually, my last Hyundai press launch was like the Palisade in 2019. I think that I recently got into like a Highlander and like a Pilot. And I feel like the Telluride and Palisade both feel kind of levels above those guys. And while the Pilot and Highlander are both, excellent sellers, they're proven to be excellent vehicles, but I feel like they just don't feel special. They feel like they're utilitarian. They're built to a purpose. They're built so you can put your 17 children in the back, throw 6 strollers and a camping tent and just bugger off into the, cottage country for the weekend. Meanwhile, these two feel special. You're right.
So the the XRT, I struggle with these vehicles because
the cosplay vehicles,
but specifically the full size cosplay vehicles,
yeah.
Because if you're like, this is the segment.
So Trail Sport, Pilot Trail Sport is like the major.
You've got Pilot Trail
here,
Sport,
right?
You've got Rock Creek Pathfinder, you've got X Pro Telluride, Z71 Traverse, Explorer Tremor, and Overland Cherokee, the Grand Cherokee L. I'm sorry.
The only one that's legit about all those is the Grand Cherokee L, right?
I mean, maybe trail rated, I hear.
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it?
I actually
it's marketing.
So the problem I have with these vehicles, so
marketing approved.
I mentioned earlier, this one has a 1-inch suspension lift. It gives you 8.4 inches of ground clearance. Now, there's a vehicle I didn't mention in that list. The Subaru Ascent Limited
does not have a wilderness model. It's just like, this is what we got.
But it has 8.7 inches of ground clearance, which is class leading until you get to the Grand Cherokee, which has an air suspension.
Yeah.
It will boost you to like 10.9 inches if you want.
And that's got to be like a $90,000 car at this point.
So it's the Ascent is like right up there with the Ford Explorer Tremor. It's the only other vehicle that has 8.7. But you also get a limited slip rear differential, which is more than a lot of these vehicles have.
That's
and
fair.
You have the tires, recovery hooks, and that's pretty much it. Inside, like the vehicle gives you information you're probably never going to use, like pitch and roll. There's a compass
on a land yacht. Like, it's huge.
You have like an invisible hood kind of deal that shows you what's under the front axle if you're doing hardcore stuff. But what kills me, there's also the terrain selector. So like mud, sand, snow.
That's in the hybrid I had.
Do you have terrain modes or do you just have driving modes?
I'm certain I have terrain modes.
Because on mine you could toggle between the two of them. And mud, sand, and snow, I'm not sure if they're in every vehicle. You might have different terrain modes. Any case, where I'm going with this is the problem with a very long vehicle like this is the approach and departure angles are horrible.
Yeah.
Like you're going to rip the bumpers off of this vehicle going up and coming down any kind of incline. And that's where I think that like the cosplay really falls apart for non-body on frame full sizers, because there's really limits as to what you can accomplish. It's like when you look at the Lexus LX, right, where and even the GX, the older GX, where it had that gigantic front fascia that just went down to almost the ground, and it was like loaded with off-road gear and low-range four-wheel drive, and you can never use it.
Yeah, and the door is closed. Like, it's like I can't do that. Like,
yeah, it's just impossible. So XRT, I can't really recommend it. It's not much more expensive than the regular one.
In this whole thing, I feel like every time we have one of these cosplay vehicles, we go, I don't get it. It's not that much better.
It's like
I don't recommend it.
In the US, it's $4,000 for that model. In Canada, let me take a look. I didn't do the trim by trim. It's a little bit higher up. So it's also $4,000 Canadian over the SEL Premium. So I don't think you should spend the money unless you're in love with the looks. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm not. So, I don't know, man. It just feels unnecessary. Enjoy the Palisade for what it's good at. Don't try to do stuff it's not good at. And I think that's the best way forward. But if you do buy it, it's not going to kill you. You know, it's like 8% more purchase price. It's not really a huge deal.
I can't wait to talk about the other Hyundai that I drove recently. I'll probably do that in a week or two, but the all-electric Ioniq 9 was also a very interesting. I can't wait to tell you about this. I think we have a really good conversation coming up on that. But we had a listener reach out to us.
Yeah, Jake reached out to us.
Jake had some stuff to say.
So he said, in keeping with our Hornet watch, he wanted to let us know he's seen one Hornet. And I think that is honestly one more Hornet than most human beings have seen. I know, Adi, you have you've seen a few Hornets yourself.
I've only seen one Hornet myself.
So there you go. We're at the one Hornet limit. He has seen this one Charger as well, Charger EV, a couple of times, 2 or 3 times over the last few months. These are our vehicles that don't exist. Thank you, Jake, for sending in a report, because I'm always curious to find out. He's in the US.
Where are these Chargers? These Hornets?
He's in the US, so that's he's located a couple of them, and it's
I thought you guys, when you said EV charger, I thought you were talking about like the contraption you put in your garage to put your electric car into. Maybe
they should not have called it that. I guess technically the term is Charger EV, and I'm I'm making a spoonerism of their marketing. But Jake had a question. Wanted to ask about the possibility of the Hemi coming back to the Charger, and also wanted to wish us well in the snowstorm. I know Sammy was hit. Sammy was hit pretty hard by it. So were you, Addy. We got some crazy cold. It got so cold here that the heat pumps I used to heat my house stopped functioning, which sucks. That was about one day of that, but things were generally okay. We got a lot of snow, but not as much as some other areas. So thanks for checking in, Jake. I hope you were safe there in your part of the world. Will the Hemi come back for the Charger? I didn't think it would. And then Sammy dug up a report from last year.
March of last year.
Yeah.
A very vague report.
That's from Car and Driver that said it was supposed to come back. And there was a weird comment from a Dodge spokesperson that said multi-energy options have always been part of the plan. Now, typically, multi-energy refers to ICE and BEV in the same platform, right?
Yes.
So I don't know why they would talk about multi-energy and in referring to a V8 and an i6 turbo. That seems a little strange.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that Stellantis or Dodge and Ram in particular have really waffled on their multi-energy approach or whatever they're calling it.
Hence the Hornet conversation we keep having.
Hornet the Hornet came with, I guess, different powertrains, but then got canceled very, very shortly afterwards. And then the Ram is the other one, where it came out with only a 6-cylinder option. And let's be clear, a very good 6-cylinder option that eventually got, I guess, upstaged by a new Hemi V8 coming in.
No. It didn't get upstaged by a new Hemi V8. It got outmarketed by an old Hemi V8. Yeah. It makes the i6, which is available in 2 different power trims, it makes way more power, is smoother.
More torque.
Yeah, more torque. It's just a better motor. I have nothing against the Hemi. I think it's a fine engine, but if I had to choose, I'm choosing the better engine. You know?
And now that they've put the gas engines into the Charger or Challenger, I'm not sure which one we're talking about.
Charger.
I know that
there's no more Challenger, Sammy. We have this conversation every couple of weeks. You forget.
They called the 2-door they're calling the Charger 2-door.
They're both Chargers. There's no more Challenger. The Challenger's been dead for a couple of years now. I'm going to mail you a photo.
I'm coming to terms with this.
I'm going to mail you a photo of the Challenger with the headlights.
I need a flow chart.
They're going to be X'd out, and we're going to put it in front of your screen when we do the podcast.
I need a flow chart, like 2-door.
Is the Challenger alive? No. Go back to, is the Challenger alive? No.
In fairness, I'll admit that even as the owner of a Stellantis store, I mix up that not calling the new 2-door Charger a Challenger.
It's,
a Challenger Daytona? I don't know what it's called.
This is the Bolt and Volt for Stellantis. This is like them.
So I now know that there's a gas model of that model, this new generation car, Charger. And I've been told that it's exceptionally good. And it won, I think, NACTOY Car of the Year, or not North American Car of the Year, which is a pretty big spend by Stellantis in terms of getting that publicity out there. But that's a joke. I actually really trust a lot of the NACTOY journalists. I think they're great.
I was going to say.
Yeah, Sammy is just taking names on
Savage.
this episode.
I'm very curious. I haven't driven it yet because the only model they offered us was a 24 in 25, which really made it difficult.
That's the EV, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There's a gas version coming.
I got to try the gas one. But the Double Clutch team had one, and I got to take it for a quick spin when they had one. It was like they call it the 6-pack. Yeah. Or the 4-pack or something muscular.
I think 6-pack is right, yeah.
Yeah, it's called a 6-pack. It had the straight 6 in it.
They were going to call it the beef machine, but they went with 6-pack.
They could have just called it the steroid, the gym rat. Anyway, here we are.
I can't wait for the lightweight model to be called the Ozempic.
Oh.
The GLP.
That's the narrow body one.
Narrow body one.
I hated the electric one. I thought it was awful. I thought everything about it was just really annoying. I didn't like it. I didn't like the fake noises. It was weird. I really liked, and I'm not a big Mustang and Camaro guy anymore. I've tried to like muscle cars. They just don't fit my style. Anyway, I took this thing for a drive, this 6-cylinder Charger, and I really liked how it drove. It was a great cruiser. even if it gets obliterated by the Mustang and the Camaro on a track day because they have dedicated track setups on those things that are available. This is like a daily commuter or cruiser with personality. Look, I really enjoyed it. It had been a long time. I think the last car I really was that surprised by was like the GR Corolla. But this thing I really enjoyed.
I really think that Dodge has dropped the ball marketing this vehicle.
I think so too.
We just talked about how we don't know what to call it anymore.
Yeah, but I feel that so much of the emphasis from Dodge has been on their whole Hemi thing and their whole V8 muscle car thing that when this came along, it's almost like it broke their brains in terms of they're just like, well, this is also fast, but not a V8. And then they just didn't know what to do or how to communicate that to buyers. And that to me is kind of crazy and unfortunate because it's possible that we have a good car that no one will know exists.
Yep, no, you're right.
But the Hemi, Ben,
Hemi. The badge on the Ram to let you know that you walked away from something good for something old. It's just so strange to me. It's an odd moment at Chrysler in general, and I hope they make it through. Not just because Adi has a store, but because it would suck if, I mean, this is a car company that's been on the precipice so many times and it's always managed to make it through. Maybe that will keep playing forward. Who knows? But thank you for that question.
I want to answer the question. I think the Hemi will. I think the Hemi will come.
You think it's going to come?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I think Stellantis is terrified of losing more customers.
Wasn't this platform developed in concert with Fiat and Alfa Romeo?
I guess so.
Why? With that in mind, I don't see how a Hemi fits in that engine bay.
They'll make it work.
I think okay, Ben, I don't think it's because of the size. I think that engine bay is the size of a house. Like, I think it could fit. That whole car is huge, but I don't think that the Hemi will happen.
All right. You heard it here first.
There you go.
I don't know anything. I actually don't know. I don't have any information, but this is just what I personally feel.
No, I don't see it happening either. I think they can get away with it in the trucks for corporate fuel economy. I don't know what they can do in the cars. I also don't, like we were saying, if no one knows this car exists, does it really make sense to put the tooling together to put a new engine in it if it's already not selling? And can they justify by saying, well, if we put the Hemi in it, people will buy it? I don't know if that's true because I don't know if that was true for the Charger beforehand, which had kind of fallen off the radar because it was fine, but it was old and it was great at the rental counter and it had kind of been on the market forever. You know, like, I don't know if you can apply the lessons from that model to this new Charger.
I think you're absolutely nailing the head right.
So that's it for this week's episode. I'm going to plug Adi one more time. DoubleClutch.ca as well as, I guess, Clarkson Fine Cars that we talked about beforehand.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Anything else you want to plug?
Appreciate you having me on the...
No, it was fun.
Really appreciate you guys.
I love hearing you talk about cars, and we should have done this a long time ago. So I'm glad we were able to do it.
I love your stories of these cars, especially these cars that I'll never own. You can own them for me. I like that.
You can just drive them whenever you want.
I'll take you up on that once the weather gets warmer.
Sammy, you got to get your clutch boot ready.
Yeah, once I prepare my clutch boot. Ben, what about you? Can we plug a couple of publications for you since we didn't do so earlier?
Sure. You can find my stuff at Motor Trend, at Haggerty, and at driving.ca. Let's go with that.
And you can find my stuff at driving.ca as well as their YouTube page and autotrader.ca. Ben, what are we talking about next week?
Next week, I'm going to be talking about a vehicle that has somehow triggered a lot of hostility from Sammy, and that's the GMC Terrain Denali.
I can't believe we're talking about this car. I can't wait to talk to you about it. I think it's worth all the hostility that I can dish out. And I also want our listeners to head on over to our website, unnamedautomotivepodcast.com, fill out the contact form, send us all your great questions. We love hearing from you, and we love answering your questions on the show.
That's right.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.